It's 10 o'clock, so I'd like to go ahead and call the August 2022 meeting of the WKU Staff Senate to order and begin with roll call. Senator Basham.
Present.
Senator Brinkley.
Present.
I should say Regent Brinkley. Senator Campbell, I'm here. Senator Kamsler.
Present.
Senator Cato.
Present.
Senator Crow.
Present.
Senator Foster. Senator Gilbert.
Present.
Senator Hopwood. Okay. Senator Inglis.
Present.
Senator Johnson.
Present.
Senator Jones.
Present.
Senator Moran.
Present.
Senator Pritchard.
Present.
Senator Purdy.
Present.
Senator Roberson.
Here. Present.
Senator Salmon.
Present.
Senator Chargarovsky.
Present.
Senator Thomas.
Here we go.
Senator Vanderpool.
Present.
Senator Vincent.
Present.
And Senator Waller.
Present.
Was there anyone I missed from the roll? Next, I'd like to move to accept the agenda for this meeting by unanimous consent. Are there any objections?
Renee has sent the treasurer's report for 2 minutes to Julia this morning.
Oh, for the minutes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So for the minutes, there'll be an adjustment, but okay, hearing none for the agenda, we'll consider the agenda for this meeting to be approved by unanimous consent. And then I would accept a motion to approve the prior monthly meeting minutes with the adjustment that was sent this morning. Do I have a second on that? Second. Right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. So we will consider the prior monthly meeting minutes to be approved, and then we will move on to the Christopher Ware Staff Star Awards. Senator Vincent.
Thank you, Brian. We are very happy to recognize 3 staff members this month. Our first award goes to Jessica Basham, and Brian Campbell is here to read some.
All right. Our first Christopher Ware Staff Star Award goes to Jessica Basham. Jessica is the Communications Specialist for the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences. And some words from her nominator. Jessica has previously served in the admissions office working with the social media and marketing of the university. Recently, she took on a role in the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences. Since joining the team, she has created connections with staff all over campus and excelled in her role. The social media and website design in this department has never been so great. Additionally, she's taking on extra roles within the WKU Hilltopper Pride Alumni Network and Stonewall Suite LGBTQ Living Learning Community. She values the student experience and always puts 110% into everything she does. Jessica is a joy to work alongside. On behalf of the Staff Senate, we appreciate all you've done and continue to do to make WKU a success. Thank you and congratulations.
Our next staff to be awarded is Angie Deaton, and I have Dr. Paula up right here to speak on her behalf.
Coming all the way.
Yeah, you come over here.
I walk fast. Sorry. So I'm Paula Upright. I nominated Angie for this award, and I'll just read briefly what I said and then talk a little bit since I came to do this. So I talk about how hard Angie works for the School of Health and Recreation Support and the College of Health and Human Service, and say what I think typically is said about staff, that you guys go above and beyond the call of duty, if you will, constantly on a day-to-day basis. And if I could highlight just some of the things Angie does, and I think you guys can appreciate why I nominated her, and why she was chosen. She not only serves the School of KRS in regards to scheduling, website design, working with the faculty, working with all of the KRS folks who, faculty can be quite demanding, especially when it comes to scheduling classes and that sort of thing. She also is the scheduler for the college and does every course scheduling for the college at CHHS. So she took that role on without hesitation to become a staff expert. We also lost our budget coordinator due to an extended illness, and Angie jumped in without hesitation and has been helping do the budget for the school for this past year and will continue to do so next year. So she is the person who steps in. I said she's thoughtful, fun, engaging. If you walk by her office at any time, faculty are just hanging out talking to Angie because she's so pleasant to be around and always so helpful. She, like I said, she does the website. She also does social media for 4 separate programs, graduate programs, etc. She supports faculty and students without hesitation, treats everyone with respect, a valuable member of our team, and I'm happy to see her efforts recognized. So thank you, Angie. A wellness room and spent some of her own money, and we now have a wellness room with essential oils and a nice place to relax for faculty because she's part of our wellness and mental health committee at the CHHS. So, sorry. Thank you. Oh, you do that.
So you can do it.
I can do that too. Okay.
Okay, our final Christopher Ware Staff Star Award, she could not be here today, is Pam Davidson. I'm going to go ahead and read what her nominee said because it was so nice. Pam Davidson deserves not only the Christopher Ware Staff Star Award, but the Rock Star Staff Award as well, if there was such a thing. Her duties are often considered behind the scenes, but any faculty or staff member that uses a Pro card is familiar with Pam and her amazing work. When COVID-19 hit in the winter of 2020 and the university needed to monitor and scrutinize all spending, the procedure for using the Pro card drastically changed, requiring every single university Pro card purchase to be approved by an additional process, which increased Pam's workload astronomically. Keep in mind, she had to perform all of these additional duties while working remotely. Throughout this early COVID period, Pam continued to maintain her detailed and precise duties and provided excellent customer service. Most employees are not aware that there are over 600 P cards at WKU, which can include multiple users and additional record keepers. To provide an example of card usage, there were recently over 900 transactions in 1 month for just the Pro cards used in athletics. Also, staff and faculty, users, supervisors, and organizational structures are continually changing, making the management of these cards and transactions an ever-moving target. Pam is also the purchasing agent for travel and collaborates with athletics on contracts for all team travel, besides handling other commodities. Additionally, her duties include performing periodic audits on card usage to ensure the rest of us are compliant with WKU policies. Part of what makes Pam an outstanding staff member is her positive attitude while managing this huge responsibility. Her response to my request for a card to be opened for an out-of-the-ordinary purchase is often, "Your card is scheduled and ready. I hope you enjoy your evening." Not just, "It's ready." And if a question arises, she is very responsive with an answer. I can't say enough wonderful things about Pam, and I hope you will join me in saying thank you for your continued support of WKU's mission. So thank you, Pam Davidson. Sorry you couldn't be here, but we appreciate everything you do, and I will be sure to continue. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the reports of officers and committee reports in the staff region. So, Regent Brinkley.
I've got a brief report. I forwarded that to you, email. On June the 10th, and I wasn't here for the last meeting, I apologize for that. So on June the 10th, we had a special call budget approval meeting. There are normally quarterly and committee meetings, but we have occasionally in June, due to the nature of when the fiscal year ends, had a special call meeting for budget approval. Prior to that meeting, the faculty, Regent, and I met with Susan Howard to go over any questions or concerns we had related to the budget. They were mainly questions, not really concerns, and got some clarity. So we had I had no issue supporting passage of the current fiscal year budget. On June the 29th, this past Friday, we had a special call board meeting for dismissal for cause pursuant to KRS 164.360 and the 27th edition of the faculty handbook. 3 new regents were sworn in at that meeting. Dr. Melissa Dennison, she's an appointed regent. She had served on the board before. Mr. Gary Brody, he is also an appointed by the governor regent. And Mr. Cole Bornfield, who is the SGA elected student president. So the student SGA president serves a 1-year term as the other elected regent. So staff regent, the faculty regent, the student regent. Those 3 regents were new for that meeting. We had a 9-hour meeting conducted as a hearing. Both sides of the issue that were presented witnesses as they saw fit. The board was not allowed to ask questions. However, witnesses were allowed to be questioned by attorneys for each side. The board went into closed session as provided by KRS 61.810 subsection 1 for 2 hours. And upon returning to open session, the board voted unanimously against the recommended action by the president. The chair and vice chair were not present for this meeting. Another regent, George Nichols, left the meeting due to another engagement. He had engaged us remotely. 8 regents were present for the vote. August the 11th is the annual Board of Regents retreat. That's next week. And the following day will be the first quarterly meeting of the current fiscal year. That agenda has not yet been posted on the street. Next committee meeting will be October 21st, and I have requested again to serve on finance and budget for the regions. I'm happy to answer any questions related to anything that I can, but also please note the proceeding on June 29th, which still got me rattled. I can only talk about what happened in the open session, not in the closed session.
Thank you, Regent Brinkley. Communications. Comment?
I don't support.
No. Treasurer Renee Bree.
For the treasurer's report for August, the ENG index starting balance of $3,668 with disbursements of $2,205.60 for Airmark, which ends our balance with $1,462.40. The WKU Foundation account, which is Steps in an Excellence Fund. Starting balance was $1,556.42. Disbursements of $106.63, leaving an ending balance of $1,480.64. And the book scholarship fund starting balance was $1,505.80. The additions were $143.17, which ends the balance with $1,648.97.
Thank you. Technology, Senator Gilbert.
No report at this time.
Secretary, Senator Johnson.
No report.
Vice Chair, Jordan Bashan.
Just a short.
Morning. The workforce committee met a little bit today. We was got together, just talk about concepts for the year, some of the ways that we can work together. A few of our members had conflicts and couldn't join us, so we're going to work on having another date this month. We can have those ideas expressed and discussed. Everybody can contribute to it. Hopefully, we have a couple of fun things, informative things that we can share in September. I want to say thank you to the mentors and mentees that have been engaged in the program already this year. And then I've heard back from a few of the mentors from last year. They were kind of share some things they thought that would help us improve the program. So current mentors that we have your contact info for, I'll be reaching out this week or late this week or early next week with a few questions that I think could help us match you up with new mentees a little bit better. And then also, if you're a mentor or a mentee who's cycled off, maybe it's, you're now a veteran on campus, and you were a mentee before, would like to serve as a mentor, that option is definitely open to you. Just reach out to jordan.basham@wku.edu and we'll get you all the details. Or if you're a mentor that's already served and the person you're working with is now a veteran because you did such a great job of training them, we can find somebody new. And you can enjoy the process all over again. So same contact. I'll also note the BEC will meet, have our first fiscal year 2023 meeting August 8th. I'll serve as representative, one of the representatives from the staff center on that this year. And that is all for me.
Thank you. And for the chair report, I have just a couple of things. We met for the first time as staff senate executive committee on July 19th. And there were two things that we discussed in terms of committee positions that needed to be filled quickly across campus. So I consulted with staff senate executive committee and asked Renee Purdy to serve on the university benefits committee. And that is filling a spot that was left vacant when Angie Link rolled off of Senate this past year. So that work, they're about to conclude their work for this year, but that work is always ongoing. And so we have asked Renee and she accepted that spot on the benefits committee. Also, we have a spot remaining to fill. A reminder again, the operating allocation committee and the budget executive committee, those two have combined beginning this year. And so the staff senate had two positions. The chair always served on budget executive committee. We had one other budget executive committee slot that we could name. And then we also had the operating allocation committee slot. And that one had remained unfilled. And I've asked Jason Kanzler to serve on the operating allocation committee slot, and he accepted that. So those were the only two kind of new updates out of the chair report. Are there any questions? Great. So next we'll move on to the presentation of the spring 2022 staff engagement survey results. Vice Chair Basham.
Good. Center console. Perfect. Good morning again. So, as many of you I think have seen, we queried the staff in February for this year's staff engagement survey. You'll see the numbers in a second. We had just over, I think, 468 respondents this time. That's on par, really, with where we've been at the last few years. If we go to slide 2, please. I'd like to start out by saying thank you to the Industrial Organizational Psychology graduate program in the Department of Psychological Sciences that helped us. They administered the survey for us. Dr. Birch, Kennedy, Emily, Shelby, Adeline, Melissa, and each and every respondent, a very special thank you to you all. This is a very large survey. When we post it, you'll see that the report is 44 pages long. That's not something that the Senate could stand up by themselves. It's a huge lift, and they take that on, and it's a part of their course. So there's mutual benefit there with coursework, and it benefits the staff. So thank you. If we could move to our next slide, please. So you'll see in page 7, it's a little deep, but the instructions on how to read this survey are on page 7. So that when I turn to it, that's the first place I go, because I don't deal with surveys like this all the time. So it's really helpful for me to go back and look at those instructions over and over again to make sure I'm not reading it the wrong way, I'm not interpreting it the wrong way. There's one special note on that page that I'll read as we start to look at these numbers. For each of the analyses by demographic category, differences between categories that reach statistical significance are identified. It should be noted that these differences need to be interpreted with caution. With large samples, such as we have for the 2022 staff engagement survey, small differences in means can reach statistical significance, yet have little practical significance. And this is something the reader should be mindful of. So as we look at those, just understand we have a large sample size, and some of these changes can happen in numbers that look a little bit more significant than they are when you actually put them in the practical sense of the culture. So you'll see the top 5 highest ranked items throughout the survey. So I'm going to read these off. These are broken out. There are just over, I think, 40 tables and figures in the report. We'll look at a few of those here today. But the top 5 highest rated items are winter break is an important benefit to me. The mean rating on that is 4.8. It was on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 is strongly disagree, 5 is strongly agree. So we're all on about the same page at 4.8 that we really agree winter break is very important. And it's a big benefit. Summer hours are beneficial to me and my work-life balance, 4.76. I feel safe on campus during the daytime, 4.71. Vacation leave is fairly approved in my area. That was a new question based on Senate conversations last year, and that resulted at 4.43. And I am treated fairly by my immediate supervisor. I'll also note that if you are someone who deals with surveys like this, you'll know that it's a luxury to have consistency in some of the data points to see the changes over the years. So this vacation leave is fairly approved in my area. It's really our only additional question. And that's about how it's gone the last few years. If you look back at old report or old surveys, they're usually about 1 change. And if we go to the next slide, please. On this slide, you'll see our 5 lowest rated items. These are all, again, mean ratings. President Caboni demonstrates the value of WKU staff by advocating for appropriate pay and compensation. Again, this survey was conducted in February of 2022, and that mean rating is 2.39. Given the responsibilities and performance expectations of my job, I am paid fairly. That was a 2.43. My section department office is adequately staffed, 2.46. I am satisfied with parking in terms of pricing, availability, and enforcement, 2.52. And WKU offers adequate supervisory training, 2.72. Next slide, please. This is one of the first figures that we'll see, and this is overall mean ratings of satisfaction for survey categories. If you remember back to the questions in the survey, those were grouped into different categories. Those are represented, lumped together here. So campus safety and environmental health ranked at 3.96 overall for all the answers to that category. General university questions, the rating was 3.5. Benefits, performance, pay, and evaluation, 3.54. Leadership, 3.6. Overall job satisfaction, 3.67. Again, there are around 40 tables and charts in the document. And we'll see figure 2 here. This is employment category of respondents. So we had 16 part-time employees and 357 full-time employees that responded. Move on again to our next figure, please, and this is employment tenure of respondents. So less than 1 year, 32 respondents, 1 to 5 years, 84, 6 to 10 years, 89, 11 to 15, 64, 16 to 20, 45, and 21 years or more, 58. And slide figure 4 shows us the salary ranges of those respondents. Those are grouped from $15,000 or less, 10 respondents, $15,000 to $25,000 annual salary, 10 respondents, 91 that were 25 to 35,000, 151, 35 to 50,000, 84, 50 to 75,000, 15, 75 to 100,000, and 9, $100,000 or more. And the next slide, please. Division category respondents. So you were asked to self-identify what category or what division you represent. That's noted here. We had 1% of our total survey was PAE with 5 respondents. Office of the President represented 24. So, for example, that's not just the President's office. My response to this survey would be included in that. Public media is considered a part of the Office of the President, as is athletics, academic affairs. So I'll call it my wife. My wife works in CEBS, so her response to this would have fallen in that category. Brian would have been in student enrollment and student experience. And then, Susan, if you're still with us, when you responded, you were strategy, operation, finance. So it gives you kind of an example of how these are grouped. We didn't necessarily query. Jessica wouldn't have responded if she worked in CBS. She would have just responded academic affairs, and those are all put in a large division together. Next figure, please. This table shows where we saw significantly different mean ratings between 2022 and 2001. So this is where we go back to that note in the instructions and understand that these are the specific items that are called out as significant changes. So you'll see I Feel Safe on Campus at Night had a decrease from 3.92 to 3.74. Air quality in my building, work environment is good. That response 3.3 from 3.83 to 3.34. And again, these are rated from 5 being strongly agree to 1 being strongly disagree. So a 3.8 is still in the agreement. So anything above 2.5 is agreement. The staff senate represents my concerns to the administration of WKU. That dropped from 3.64 to 3.39. I'm aware of President Caboni's expectations relevant to me and my department. That went from 3.47 to 3.3. I understand the role of the president's cabinet. That was from 3.22 to 2.99. I'm satisfied with parking in terms of pricing, availability, and enforcement. That was from 2.83 to 2.52. President Caboni demonstrates the value of WKU staff by advocating for appropriate pay and compensation, 2.83 down to 2.39. And given the responsibilities and performance expectations of my job, I am paid fairly, 2.7 to 2.43. Overall, I'm satisfied working at WKU. That was from 3.86 to 3.67. And I'm going to stay on this slide if you would please for a second. The results of the 2022 staff engagement survey indicated that overall employees moderately agreed they are satisfied working at WKU. So that's what you see with 3.67 that qualifies as moderately agreed. Across the board categories, the employees rated the highest we saw on the first section, which was campus safety. But you see here that I Feel Safe campus at night was an area that we saw a decrease. And that 3.74 is still agreed. Move to the next slide, please. And we're on figure 7. These show our response rates. So our total for 2022 was 465. 21, as you see, was 403. 2020 was 451, and then 2019 was 458. I sourced some of the older reports to see where we stand, and we're right at the exact same place we were 10 years ago. With respondents, I think I didn't calculate it, but our percentage of participation is much higher than it was 10 years ago. So if you take that we have, I think in January, when we looked at, for February, when we looked at the total number of staff employees to calculate how many members of the Senate we would have in our election, we were in the 1,200 range of currently employed. So to have 465 individuals respond, this is a really good response rate. So that's why that first page was thank you, because we don't get the data if people don't participate, and we have very great participation with this. Next slide, please. That last one. Figure 6 is overall satisfaction ratings for 2019, 20, 21, and 22. So you see it here, just a chart comparing the years. From 2019 to 2020, we saw an increase of 0.14. From 20 to 21, we saw a decrease to 0.2 or 0.02. And then from 21 to 22, we saw listed a decrease from 3.86 to 3.67. And that's again to point back to that the instruction page that statistical changes have to be, when we have such a large sample size, you have to be very careful in how you can do that. And is that one more? That's it. All right. So there's a lot more to this document. I've just noticed that the most updated version, which is really this release that has branding changed. So everyone should receive the version that really had the WKU logo and listed as a satisfaction survey instead of engagement survey. And then the slide that had the division breakouts is new, but the rest of the data is intact for the version that's been distributed. I think my attachment was too large to go through the list the other day. So this is the first most of you have seen it. So in a second, I'm going to make a motion to accept it. But first, I want to ask if anybody has any questions from what they've been able to see so far. Okay, I think I'll add a note for a comment for myself. I think it's the document that we all already put a lot of time into looking through, but it's a resource we need to remember to go back to throughout the year. And something that can evolve, and as we have conversations with peers and ourselves, know that we can still reach back to this resource to poll staff members in the winter next year. Yeah, Rachel?
Will you please explain to the staff what happens with this document?
Oh, okay, so we make a commitment when this survey goes out, that we'll share it with the administration, and that we'll use it as a document that helps guide our efforts through the year. This final version I sent this morning to Susan, the president, and Andrea Sherrill. Brian will have it, I think, probably take a hard copy. I know the president's already reviewed it, and Susan and Andrea have as well. Had some really good conversations. We've had these results for a little bit. This hasn't been in a finished version to distribute. So we've had some really good conversations around it already. So it's a really great tool for us. If I was going to use one word, in a wide swath of activities that we do. Thank you. Yep.
Do we know the breakdown of employees of the 1,200 per division? I know we had this percentage for each division. We know what those employee numbers are.
So would you mean how many, like what their roles are, or
What's that?
would you pull back up?
I can
I think it was figure 5. It's the one that's the,
Total number.
Yeah.
Employee per
Actively today.
of the 1,200.
oh, okay, so, this is a breakdown of respondents, but no, I don't have, I think when that was delivered, we did it by EO category and not by division, because that's how our representation works. So when we asked that question, it was about establishing representation per EO category. That is a question we can ask.
Just to compare that percentage of respondents.
Yeah. I think that's a good addition. Additionally, the president pointed out that it would be really helpful, from his viewpoint and in the rent model to ask, individuals to self-identify what college they're in instead of just academic affairs and get some more granularity to that data. So I think both of those are really good questions or good additions. Okay. Anybody else? And this is, again, I'm not the expert on this one, but I've probably spent most time with it, and that's why I got to present it today. But I hope it is something that people can lean back on throughout the year. So if there aren't, we'll go ahead.
Oh, sorry, is this something we put on our website?
Yes,
Okay, we do.
that's why I want to ask that the Senate would accept this, and that's for distribution.
You put the version without full comments, right?
Correct. We make a commitment in the request for response to the survey that we will try to remember the wording, but we provide anonymity, so you don't log into your net ID when you fill out the survey. And the Senate historically has done that to have good responses, so that if someone is in an area where they feel like they might need anonymity to share something, they have it. For those that have read the comments, I know people are honest, and we appreciate it. And it also might identify what area they work in, whether it's a positive or negative comment. But we commit that we won't share that data in any other form in the aggregate. So these numbers broken down to groups. So I think the additional data is fair, and then I think the breakout overall is fair. But individual comments we commit not to share. So this document is the first 44 pages of the report. Okay, I'll make a motion for the Senate to accept the July version of the WKU Senate Staff Engagement Survey for 2022. This was not production through a committee, so this is I'll note for procedure. This is an item that will need a second.
I did first or the second?
I made the
You did
motion.
first, I'll second.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And I'm gonna get back to you now.
And all those in favor of the motion on the floor to accept this version, the July version of the 2022 staff engagement survey, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. That is accepted.
Awesome. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Next on our agenda, move into old business. There was none on the agenda. Does anyone have any old business that was not listed? Next, we will move on to new business. Any senators have any new business to bring before the Senate?
I had a staff member reach out and they were concerned. Has anyone heard about the Preston Center raising the fees to $25 flat rate versus it used to be based on tiers of that? And so they were just concerned because I don't know if it was put out there. So I know we used to have a Preston Center advisory board. I'm not sure if they still meet though. But they were just bringing that up because they were concerned, because that's a big jump for someone making just say under 20,000. So they were just concerned about that $25 because that's even more expensive than he made comment than several of the gyms around Bowling Green. So I didn't know if anyone had heard about it or.
No, someone had brought that to my attention just within the last couple of days. And so I was also and it may have even been the same person, I'm not sure. But something that we will look into if that committee still does exist. I know there's been a little bit of a leadership change. And so we'll check in to see if that committee still exists.
Just a comment, because I am a Preston Center member, and I know they sent about to change emails to any Preston Center member. Because they're also changing it from payroll deduction to their own system within that. So I know if you were a Preston Center member, you did get notified in advance of the changes, but I don't know if they sent it to campus or maybe email, so.
The website is $20.
Is that I mean, I guess that's an increase, because it used to be based on pay, so I guess for some people, it's a pretty big increase.
Yeah, I know it was an increase for me.
But the payroll deduction, was that pre-tax or prior to? I was just curious, because that even saved the extra money if you were doing it,
I'm not
the
sure
deduction.
that, I don't know about the payroll sticks, I don't know.
But that is certainly something, so thank you for bringing that up in this meeting as well. And it's something that we will look into further, at least with the President Advisory Committee, to see if that group is still meeting. And if so, what our staff representation is on that committee. Any other new business? Okay. Next is the period for public comments. And then we'll move into announcements, and I have a few. So our next Staff Senate Executive Committee meeting is August 9th at 10 a.m. via Zoom. And then our next Staff Senate meeting is a little bit different. Usually we are the first Wednesday of every month. Next month, we will meet on Tuesday, September 6th here in the Senate chambers, and President Caboni will be our guest speaker. And so I'm sure that he will speak to some of the survey results that were just shared by Senator Batchelor. But we will also send out a Qualtrics link where anyone who would like to submit questions for response or consideration for response to President Caboni, those can be submitted anonymously via a Qualtrics survey. So just a very short, brief opportunity for you to list those questions out. And so we are very thankful that he does take the time to come and meet with us in this body, answer those questions, and he is generally pretty diligent about doing so. So I would encourage those to be watching for that email. If you have things beyond what the staff and engagement survey has already kind of put out there for us, if you have other comments or questions that you would like the president to consider, be watching for that email. Also, just another reminder that convocation is August 15th at 10 a.m. And then Topper Fest, President Caboni just sent an email about that, but just another reminder that the second annual Topper Fest is August 19th at 5:30 p.m. And so I went last year with my wife. We took our son and really enjoyed that. So I really hope that staff will come out, use that as an opportunity to kick off the year and kind of with the results of that staff Senate survey, with morale being a little bit low. I hope that we take advantage of that opportunity to kind of come out there together and celebrate the start of a new year. So those are the comments or the announcements that I had. Are there any other announcements for the good of the Senate?
I just wanted to announce that the fall book scholarship is open. So the deadline is August. I believe it's August 17th. So I did send that in the email with the announcements. So if you are if you take some fall classes, please sign up for the book scholarship so that we can get that applications.
All right. With that, seeing none, we will adjourn this meeting of the Staff Senate.